Hello, hi. My name is Al Elliott, and this is the Monday's Eve discussion, the back to school edition. I am joined by Kenneth Williams, fifth grade educator. Say hello, Kenny.
Hello, how are you doing?
And we doing well. And also
Good.
Rafon Davis. Rafons,
Hello,
how you doing?
I'm doing awesome.
All right. Well, this is the back to school edition, and really what I wanted to do, and there may be a couple other people joining us, but I really want to just kind of get an idea of what you're doing to just kind of prepare for back to school. I mean, like, do you have like certain rituals that you go through in the summer? Are you just trying to like show yourself up on certain technologies or certain books or articles? Like, what are you doing to kind of gear up? And if I could, I know Kenny, you're in a parking lot about to get mugged, and you might want to go first because you may have to go. So I'm just gonna start
Yes.
with Kenny.
I hope that's okay.
Go ahead.
All right. My main thing is starting with myself with technology, having an understanding of what I need to do personally, of trying to be more technology savvy for myself so that when my students have questions or have concerns, at least I'll have some type of knowledge instead of just integrating something that I saw and
Hmm.
just trying to throw it into the classroom. I'm trying to, we just take, sorry for the noise, if we just take like Google Drive or how to utilize it better and how to move things around, and I could help them a little better with things. So mine has been more personable this summer of trying to get an understanding of where I am with technology and making things a little simpler because it seemed like I was getting bogged down with doing too many different types of things, and I'm trying to
Mm.
find the usage, maybe not just one, but something that's better than just doing this one day and jumping over doing that one day and doing something different a different day. So just
Okay.
trying to put everything together as one right now for me personally, and then that way I can take it to the students a little bit better.
Okay.
I hope
Franz,
that helps.
Uh, for
what you
me,
doing?
for me, this has really been a summer of connecting. I've gone to conferences outside of my own state, and yes, I did a lot of presenting or talking, but really was sitting down and listening to how teachers are not just using technology, but how they're building relationships with their students, how other people in the same field that I am in the instructional technologist side are connecting with teachers and maybe reflecting on my own to be better at to be much better than, of course, the year before. But that I think that pretty much sums it up for me. Is I've spent a lot of time reflecting and just listening, and I don't think that I've really done that enough in the past.
Oh, okay. So like when you talked about building relationships, I'm just gonna like see if we can build on that. Like what's something that was I guess was new or revelation or something that you looked at a little differently about building relationships?
I don't think that there was anything that was much of a revelation. I'll be honest in that because I think that probably the strength of who I am is in my ability to build relationships, but just on really helping teachers to focus on the importance of it more. I think this past year was my very first year on this side working for district level in technology. And it was very different than my classroom teacher experience. But I don't think I focused a lot on the relationship side of what we do. I focused a lot more on the tools. Um, per a little bit. I mean, there was a lot of relationship building, but I think that I did focus a lot more on the tools. And now I know that I have to go with my gut and focus more on not just the relationships, I mean, primarily, but also focusing on the why more than the what.
Kenny, like you were saying that you didn't want to just jump from one technology to another technology. What's like one technology that you know, hey, this is something that I got to be using this year, and I guess something that you feel a little bit more comfortable going into the fall this year. Like what's just one thing?
At this very moment, at the top of my mind is the kids being more organized.
Mm,
We had our Gmails, we were using our drives, but I don't think I was allowing them to be a little bit more organized.
okay.
It's just things were just sort of misplaced a little bit. So I think organization is a start for me, is one of
Okay.
the first.
Yeah, I think I kind of struggle with the digital organization. Like it's real easy to start a document, share it on Google Drive, and then when the kids start replying, if they didn't remember to name their document, that was something huge for me. Is like Google Document starts unnamed everything, so you got 25 kids with an unnamed document that they've shared with you, and they really think that theirs is the only one that's unnamed. So trying to get kids in that, like I was trying to get in the habit. I had a habit of going back and naming stuff after I started typing it, right? And so I totally understand the kids doing that. But yeah, being more organized, that's something good. What about like we're on a hangout now? Like do y'all like what do you think about hangouts in general? Like do you do them a lot? Do you see that it'll be like a useful tool? Do you think it's just kind of a way for people like me to invade your privacy?
No, I can speak up on that one. We turned on Google Hangouts in our district this year for teachers, and we experimented with using this as a form of professional development. I think for me in my job, I mentioned earlier, I work for 11 schools, and the Hangout is going to be critical in order for me to connect with those teachers. We have campus liaisons on each campus, and so one of the my plans is to do a weekly Google Hangout with my campus liaisons and other teachers that we can share, at least within our staff. I think this is a hugely important tool that we can definitely use a little bit better.
Okay, Kenny.
My hangout was extraordinary. Using it for the first time this past year, a student who had leukemia, and she was at home quite often. Somebody entered.
Yeah, that's fine. Keep on.
All right. And she was able to listen to the class. She was able to listen to the lessons just from the Google Hangout and talk with the kids. And they were able to tell them, okay, this is what we're doing at this very moment. And I was able to group them, to go over, do the Google Hangout. And so she was being taught that way. And that was just extraordinary. And the kids learned, I think that was the best usage because they learned how to use it instead of just, it's not a play toy.
Okay.
And seeing that for the very first time, it's like, oh, okay, this is quite educational, and they kept using it in that manner.
Okay, we have some people just joining in. If you guys want to introduce yourself, I think that's Dr. Witherspoon and her daughter Lexi. If I'm not mistaken, you guys want to say hi?
Hola.
Hello. Yeah. Well,
Hello.
what we're
Hello.
doing now is this is Ramon with Franz Davis, and she's a technology integrationist from Texas, and Kenneth Williams. He's a fifth grade teacher from Bessemer. And if y'all would just kind of introduce yourselves and tell us in short, how are you getting ready for back to school? Like, what are the types of things you're doing?
Okay, I'm Taja Witherspoon, and this is Lexi. I guess summer is kind of normal for me. I worked a lot of the summer, and what I've done is I've read a lot of professional literature, and I participated in a lot of learning over the summer with teachers, more specifically with mathematics. And another thing that I did was support Lexi because she's starting in high school next year, and we're both a little nervous about that. I think I am. I don't know about her.
Yeah, I don't. She doesn't look nervous. I think that is just all you. Lexi, what are you doing to prepare for high school, the big ninth grade year, freshman year?
Okay, so to prepare for my first year of high school, I actually attended my February orientation for my school and met with my pre-AP English teacher, and she had her summer reading books, and so I started actually reading the books because I wanted to make dance team in April, and so I knew I was going to be busy over the summer, and so then I just had to read 2 required books over the summer.
Oh, so you are the overachiever we keep hearing about. Okay, I get it. That's pretty cool. That's actually I like that. What was one of the books that you read? I'm curious.
Over the summer or during?
Yeah, over the summer. Over the summer, like one of the required reading titles. I'm curious what they're asking ninth graders to read these days.
Okay, so all the ninth graders have to read Lord of the Flies by William Golding, and then you get to pick a book from a list, and then I read Secret Life of Bees,
Mm.
and Sherlock Holmes, The Hounds of the Baskervilles.
Okay, how was Lord of the Flies? I actually remember reading that from high school.
I mean, I'm just on chapter 8, but so far
Okay.
it's good. I know it's about like boys from 6th to 8 who they're stranded on an island. Like the setting's in England and there's a nuclear war going on.
Hmm.
So they're trying to find a way to make it like peace before they can get rescued. So they're trying to like build very big fires so if boats come they can see like the boats could see so they could get rescued, and then they find out there are pigs on the island so they can kill the pigs and eat and hunt them. So
Okay, yeah, we'll stop there. Spoiler alert: you may have some of your classmates that's trying to just take your notes. Okay. Well, earlier I know Franz was talking about the importance of like not just focusing on the technologies, but also focusing on like the relationships. Like, if anybody else kind of want to chime in on that, like, do you think that overall, like, school systems are focusing on technologies more than actual, I guess, building cultures in classrooms? Like, what do you think? And then I'm really just talking to the group. Anybody could chime in.
All right. Before I have to leave, I'll chime in
Okay,
quickly.
Kenny.
I'm sort of noticing that it's just throwing, sometimes, it may not be everyone, throwing a lot of technology into the classroom
There's everyone.
okay, with no real use. You know, it's just a bunch of different devices. It looks good. We got a bunch of things in the classroom, but, you know, nothing is working together. And, you know, and I'm noticing that quite a bit now. That's a real concern.
How do you feel about that? Like, what do you think could be done to kind of, you know, help that?
What we are doing at this very moment, first
Okay.
having a discussion about the best usages of technology. What works best? What do we think works best in a classroom? And not being asked. It seems like many times we're not being asked, and I think that this is a great tool to have that discussion. Like, what will work in a classroom? So you have your MacBook, you have a Chromebook, you have, you know, all these
iPads,
different
phone,
devices.
Nooks.
Right.
Right. Absolutely right. Well,
Which
Kenny,
are great now. Don't take me wrong now. It's great to have them all.
it's great to have the choice.
Yes, yes.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and let Kenny out. Look, I know Kenny is about to go into the studio. He's like the hardest working teacher in the summer. He's a saxophonist, a musician. He just left the gig and on the way to the studio. Right? Am I making that up?
You are not making that up. I just played outside in this Alabama heat for 3 hours.
Where
And
did you
now
play?
Chelsea Park. We played outside with no cover over and just sit in the heat. I drank about 8 bottles of water tonight.
That sounds fun. Well,
Yeah,
thanks for
pretty
joining
much.
us, Kenny.
I,
I appreciate it.
and I will watch the rest. Nice
I do.
meeting everybody.
Nice to meet you too.
Bye. Bye.
Okay, Franz, I know that you mentioned that you went up to Canada and you went to Tennessee. If you could just kind of mention some of those activities. I actually ran into you at ISTE, so I know you've been busy this summer. So if you kind of just break down what you were doing in Canada, what you were doing in Tennessee, and how you think that might impact, you know, your school year.
I will say for the past 4 weeks, I've probably been home for a total of 3 days, and today counts as one of them. That's just how crazy it's been. Even before I went to ISTE, I went to 2 different events, 3 hours apart, and like drove to both of them. It was crazy. But the one that I went to Discovery Ed's Summer Institute, and if you are a school that subscribes to Discovery Education, I encourage you to have your teachers to get involved and become what they call Den Stars, which enables you to go to even more exclusive events like the one that I went to. They housed 125 teachers from the USA, Canada, and the UK at Vanderbilt University. And we spent 3 days in sessions and not about Discovery Ed. The sessions were about, you know, some different classroom strategies, really focusing on the pedagogy. We also worked a great deal on communicating, collaborating, digital storytelling, some of those things. We didn't really talk about devices unless the activity called for it. And that's another thing, is we have all of these technologies, but we really have to focus on what exactly we're trying to accomplish and then choose the tool to support that. And I don't think we do enough of that. I think, and especially in my job, I get a lot of calls about, hey, I've got the iPads, find me something to do with the iPad. And not enough of, hey, I'm working on this great lesson. What do you think will help kids understand this lesson better. And coming from someone with a solid secondary math background, so when you talked about connecting with math teachers, I kind of smiled at that because I love that. It's very important, especially knowing how important it is, that content part of it is, that we focus on that big time, and I don't think we do enough of that. And then the next week, I literally left Tennessee and flew to Canada. And that event, we spent 3 days locked in Smart's basement, learning about their new technologies and their collaborative software. But then I think that the most important part of that was getting to sit down with their developers and to talk about some good things and some not so good things, and maybe some other areas that needed to be addressed, and which I can't talk about because it's under NDA. But I loved being able to have that voice and to be able to say those things and not feel like I couldn't, which I've always said those things, but the fact that they were listening and actively changing it meant a great deal.
Okay, cool. Taja, I happen to know that you and Lexi like to travel in the summer. Like, how could you just talk about, like, not necessarily everywhere you've been, but why do you think traveling is so important? I know that you do a lot of traveling, but most of the traveling that you do is with Lexi, and I know that's on purpose, with the purpose. So if you could just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we like to travel. We like to eat. Like, eating is really big, but experiencing different cultures. One thing I think that's missing from our travel is really visiting the school and to see what their educational environment is like. But we also think about life as being the classroom. Like, the world is really the classroom, so we like to go to different places. And this year, we went to Dubai and Thailand. Thailand was solely pure fun. But Dubai, we really enjoy going, experiencing their culture during Ramadan and the extreme temperatures. But I like to go to places just for her to experience those things, because I had no idea that I had access to the world at her age. But you want to talk about something that you did? Or
Now, Lexi, you can say you would have rather gone to Miami and you didn't have to go out with it. She won't be mad. But what did you think about traveling?
See, I really didn't want to go to Dubai at first because I didn't know about going across the country or around the world. But it actually turned out to be fun. Like, you saw the currency, how the dollar adds up in Thailand and Dubai. Like, Dubai, their currency is a dirham, and the $1 equals to 3.63 of their dirhams, and then $1 in Thailand is equal to 32 of their baht. So you understood how cheap it was to go to Thailand, but if someone moved to Thailand to the U.S., you saw how their money is gonna really shrink because their money is so much more. So everything is cheap there, but it will look like everything's expensive here.
Okay.
In reverse.
Cool. Is there any place, if you could suggest a place? I'm sure a lot of times your mom just says, "Hey, we're going to Dubai." If you could pick a place, because where would you want to go and why?
You know what? I really want to go back to Europe. We were just talking about it this afternoon, how the places we went, we went to Austria, Italy, and France, and the cities there were so beautiful. And I really would like to go back to Paris and then go to Rome, Italy. So, yeah.
Okay, so Europe. You like to go back to Europe. Have you ever been to Africa at all?
No. We wanted to go, other than go to Thailand, we wanted to go to Ethiopia, but someone told us that Thailand was a better experience.
Okay. I can understand that. Well, I think for me, just kind of gearing up for back to school overall, I've been trying to figure out what I want to do the first week. A lot of times I'm focusing on the year, or I'm focusing on what I want to have done by the whole semester, but that first week and just trying to establish cultural, the culture of the classroom. Like I guess in the past 5 or 6 years, I really understand the importance of having a certain environment and the kids kind of understanding what is acceptable and what isn't acceptable, because they're coming from so many different dynamic environments from their home, and if that's not explained in the classroom, they just default to what's okay at home. And I never really thought about it that way. It was like I was in a professional development once, and the person that was facilitating it was like, we always tell kids to be good, but what is that? Like, what's good to one kid might not necessarily be good to another kid. So I think ultimately I'm trying to focus on the I guess the behavioral and the interaction piece. But the other thing I kind of want to give a shout out to this app called Book Track. I don't know why my picture is just there and the video is not. Is that what y'all seeing?
We see you.
Okay, that's even better. Okay, I guess it was just my computer tripping out. But there's something called Book Track, and I don't get a check from him. He did give me a T-shirt at ISTE, but that's not why I'm saying this. If you are interested in getting kids excited about writing and reading, check out Book Track. Basically, it's a musical score that accompanies whatever you're reading, but the score is kind of like, it's designed to move along with the mood of what you're reading. So if it's a scary story, there may be suspenseful sounds. If it's exciting, maybe explosions or something. But the coolest part is you can create a digital book and create your own musical score to go with it. And all this is for free. So if you've never used Book Track, actually, I was at Ed Camp Mountain Brook last week, and the vice president was nice enough to join us on a hangout, answer a lot of questions that the participants had. So like I met him and got introduced to him in Esty. They've only been live for a couple of months, and so they're really big on feedback. There were some people in our session that actually gave him suggestions, and he was saying, hey, that sounds good. I think we want to add that to it. So Book Track, that'll be something that I'll endorse. I guess this Monday's Eve discussion. Is there any other pressing issues that anybody can kind of think of? Like when we think about back to school, a lot of time we think about supply lists, we think about school clothes and school shopping. Like is that still a thing? Like most of the time now when I go back to school, I'm not buying new khakis for myself. So Lexi, have you been school shopping yet?
She has. Before you go on to that, it's two things I want to ask you about. I was thinking about in Book Track, she's been highlighting a lot of vocabulary words because she's one to read over vocabulary and kind of miss out on it. I wonder, could she use Book Track for her vocabulary, like add music?
You mean like create her own vocabulary list and then add music to that list?
Right.
Sure. Yeah. Do that and share it with me. Like that might be a cool way to introduce vocabulary, actually, to create a story with vocabulary words in it that the kids are reading within context. I actually think I like that. There might be an activity like, I don't like spelling, teaching spelling as a subject, so generally speaking, I just give like a spelling contract and they have like 3 or 4 activities to complete by the end of the week. I may use Book Track as one of the activities, but they actually have to use the words within context. Instead of just writing sentences or writing a paragraph, they can use it that way and do Book Track and share it with each other. I like it. You thought of that, but I'm going to take it.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, I want her to do that. All right, the second thing is that at that Mountain Brook Ed Camp, Genius Hour, like, I love that. And I was thinking about that for teachers. Like, what would that look like for teachers? Because oftentimes I'm noticing with myself that we're asking teachers to do things like that for students. What are we doing for teachers? Like to have them to own their own learning. Like, what would that look like for me as a coach to present that to teachers, for teachers to do that same very thing? Like, what do you want to work on?
How can teachers have a Genius Hour?
Right. Yes, I can help with that.
No.
One of the it doesn't even take a pen. I'm serious. This is she really ran to get a pen.
Go ahead. I'm back now.
Wait a minute. We could just plug in a Google Doc in the middle of this.
Oh,
right, we could.
I'm so
yeah, we could have.
But go ahead.
Yes, you are. One of the things that we did while at Discovery was we did a makerspace. We called it a makerspace for all of the teachers who were participating to bring things that they were passionate about to share. And so while we were doing this, of course, I was thinking, okay, we have this Genius Hour and we're doing Maker Ed for students. We should be doing that for teachers. These were teachers who were incredibly passionate about things someone does puppets, like my nephew, and someone did augmented photo albums, which I had never even thought about doing. I thought that was an incredible idea. Someone was making jewelry. Someone was actually printing 3D little what are those things called to be on? Do you know what I'm talking about? They're like a little circle and you put it on a string like for a necklace. At any rate, they were printing that with a 3D. Yeah, that's the word. Thank you, Mr. Vocabulary. But they were printing that and sharing like how they did it. And so I was like, we do family math night and we do family reading night. We need to have like a family creation night or something like that, so teachers and students can set up areas to share what they're creating and things that they're passionate about, and everybody go to the different areas to learn from each other. And that's just something that will completely unite a campus, because you'll never know what people create and what they're passionate about unless you give them the ability to do it. So do it school-wide.
I love that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I know, like, once my students got going, when we were doing our 20% time, I would be working on, like, they would inspire me to work on, like, most of the time I had to monitor them and make sure what they were working on was working. But then, like, when I would get off, I would be thinking about they inspired me to work on something. So I think that it is important. I think that's a great point. Teachers, like, if we're going to do 20% time, we need to do 20% time. Like, we need to find a way to experience that. And then that also it scaffolds that for our students. It models that we're lifelong learners, and we're still discovering things and finding ways to improve ourselves. I think so often students perceive teachers as know-it-alls, right? And so I think for all those opportunities where we can show students that we're still trying to learn is very, very important. That's a good point. Thanks, Dr. Witherspoon. That was a good suggestion. And
that was a good
Franz
question.
for having.
I was going to also tell you, there's one other thing, and I heard this from a speaker at another conference, and I thought that's genius. That he actually on his campus required literally for teachers to take 1 hour of their time to dedicate to themselves. They were not to work on student things. They could not do.
Like during the day?
Check email. During the day. They couldn't check
email. They get an
email.
hour to themselves during the day.
Yes, to work on things
awesome.
for themselves.
I'm with that.
Built within the school day.
The school hour.
Yep.
I like it.
Now, I don't know how that works. It may be 20 minutes on your campus. I don't care. If you give me 20 minutes to do something for me, that solves so much, because for me, the school gets all of my time, as they should, until even past when I get off at 4:30 now. It's late in the night. But to be able to have some time to do something that I love besides school, because that's another thing. We have to love what we do, but we have to love other things too. To give me the time to do that I would be at that school in a heartbeat.
I say either do that or let us take naps. No, I'm just joking. No, that's a good idea.
Oh no, that's good. Nap chat.
Okay, I have a question, because I'm hearing this makerspace come up. Is this a physical place in the school, or is this, in theory, makerspace?
It can be both. So in many of our schools, they have set up maker spaces in the library, and so I kind of have two sides to that, because I just did a whole thing on the anti of this, but then supporting it. So a lot of it has to do with technology, where many spaces might have Legos, they might have robotics, they might have computers, but I'm also of the let kids do things with their hands, so have things that they can create by hand. I don't care if it's markers, crayon, paper, yarn. Like, I have a nephew who's 9 whose hand sews puppets, like, with his hand, the most immaculate, crazy creations possible. And he's a creative kid. The makerspace that typically is in schools doesn't make room for the kid that is not doing all of the technology part of it in the way that they would want them to. He uses the technology to support his hands-on creations. So having a space where they can do that, I mean, and we have these things laying around the house all the time. It just like bring it and put it in there and just let them get in and create.
Yeah,
So,
I have
yes.
one of my schools is asking for ideas and suggestions of what that would look like. So that would be very helpful to tell them that.
Anything
I like
to
that.
start with. I mean, I used to keep art paper in my room and all kinds of pencils, glitter things, and then of course bring in some of the technology things like you hear a lot about the Makey kit, which is it's a kit that allows kids to learn about like losing my word, circuits. It's about learning about circuitry.
The Arduino boards.
Yes. So having things like that, and then also even setting up a space for them to learn about coding. So my thing is to bring in the technology parts of it, but also have some space for kids who are physically doing things with their hands. Because I mean, I think that there was a big craze that took off with kids learning how to do those bracelets on YouTube where it's the rubber bracelets. Do you know what I'm talking about? Have things like that in there where they can come in and set up a screen with the instructional videos, even if you download them ahead of time, if you block YouTube at your school, so they can come learn about it and make it in that space. So
I had students that were really big on making purses and bags out of duct tape. We actually just started calling them quack sacks, duct tape, quack sacks. Anyway, but yeah, they would just. I would make sure that I had duct tape, you know, in the classroom. Like one thing that I learned from when I was participating with Greater Birmingham Math Partnership is they would have these kits like on the table or near the students. So instead of every student having their own scissors or crayons, I have these little tubs, and they've got scissors, crayons, pencils, rulers. So it's not necessarily for an assignment. It's just that's like a toolkit. If you feel the need to create, if you got some spare time or you just finished an assignment, like I've had students just go into origami or whatever it is, but they had certain tools available. That they had the freedom to kind of just use and exercise and create and always like share. Like it's funny, like I would get talked about because I don't do bulletin boards, but the bulletin boards are for my students. So whatever they decide to put up, and most of the time it's not, I guess, holiday sensitive. Like when my kids had they put up jack-o'-lanterns for Halloween, and then they just put stocking caps on them for Christmas. Like it was a collage by the end of the year, where it wasn't like changing out. So yeah, creating just like I guess little makeshift maker spaces. Like that's what classrooms I guess should be ultimately. Anybody else got something that you had some great questions? I'm glad Lexi and her mother decided to join us. That was awesome. Anything else? Nothing.
You asked her something and I interjected. I can't remember what it was.
Oh yeah, you know what? Yeah, I was already off that. I wasn't even gonna go back to that. I saw how that happened, but since it was live and we was past it, I was hoping nobody would go. I thought we forgot about it, but okay, you want to bring that up? That's cool.
I can't remember what it was.
Now I was really being if I was asking about school clothes, but
Oh, okay.
That's fine.
Okay. That's
yeah.
funny.
Well, let me just say this. It's been great. I want to just say that April FitzGerald normally hosts this with me, but she was unable to attend tonight. So hopefully she'll be watching, and I hope she got her husband home safe from the airport. So that was that. I want to thank Franz for joining us, Kenny for joining us, and Lexi, and I can't even see who's that hiding off the camera. Oh, Taja. Thanks a lot for joining us for the Back to School edition of Monday's Eve discussion. I'm about to end the broadcast unless y'all have something else y'all like to say.
Well, I would like to get Miss Davis's email.
Okay, so watch this. Like as soon as we stop, we're still gonna be talking. So like there's always an after show. So just don't hang up. Like when I stop broadcast, then we're gonna exchange numbers. We're gonna talk about where we're going for drinks, the whole nine.
Okay, all right.
But thanks again for joining us, and we'll see y'all next time.
All right.
Oh, I left this off. Franz, talk to the people because you have like blogs, you speak. Like I want you to do your little spiel about, I'm saying little spiel, but tell the people like all the stuff that you're doing so they can kind of find what you got going on.
Well, since you asked, I blog at refransdavis.com. I have a book that's going to come out in a few months, hopefully before this year is up, if Corwin doesn't kill me before then. My book is over the missing voices of EdTech, where we talk about lack of diversity. And I tweet at refransdavis, and I love doing things like this. Like I said, I hunted you down at ISTE and begged to be on this show because no one has ever asked me to do this. But I've been deeply honored, and especially hearing from Lexi. I love to hear from students, so this was truly a highlight and a great return to the States.
Well, thank you for joining us. It was an honor having you. I was impressed at ISTE. And if you missed it, if you go to her blog, you can see what she said, and you will be inspired as everyone there was. Lexi, you got something you want to add? What are you doing? You got a book out yet? Lexi?
No.
Not yet? It's coming though, right?
Sure.
Okay, Taja, Dr. Witherspoon. What you got going on, Dr. Witherspoon? You a math coach in Mountain Brook, and what else?
That's it. That's enough.
Okay. All right. Okay. And I'm Al Elliott. You can go to allocation.com. Most of the time I'm on Google Plus. I think I'm just gonna make allocation.com go to Google Plus. That's where I'm posting the stuff. I'm on Twitter, allocation. And this is the Monday's Eve discussion, and we'll see you at the next one. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.